And okay, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the unveiling of our newest art piece here in Moundridge. This is the brainchild of the Moundridge Arts Council. So I'm going to begin by introducing them, and I may need to get my umbrella. We have Betsy Davis, Kendall Votes, Todd Votes, myself, and Aaron Bangosh. I don't believe he's here. We make up the Arts Council.
Thank you.
A year ago, the Moundridge Arts Council applied for a Masterworks McPherson County grant for community beautification. In the application, we wrote, the Moundridge Arts Council will partner with Swiss Mennonite Arts Cultural and Historical Association, commemorating their sesquicentennial celebration of the migration to Moundridge, Kansas. The art installation will include iconography depicting the influence of the Mennonite settlers to the central Kansas area. Moundridge is such a unique town with a rich history of innovation, resilience, and community connectedness. We wish to honor this tradition as Moundridge moves into the future. Art builds interest in local history, pays homage to forebears, and creates town pride, end quote. Before we speak about this in particular, I want to acknowledge that there were Indigenous First Nations peoples here who thrived for many generations before the Mennonites' coming. People who were forced to sacrifice their land and for our prosperity. Well, 150 years ago, Volhynian Mennonite immigrants settled these fields with hope. Hope of prosperity as they planted the turkey red wheat that they brought over. Fields of hope in their commitment to peace and nonviolent responses to warring and evil. Fields of hope as they put their hands and their feet behind their words to bring about social justice. They soon came to love the land and their new community. It happens that the artists that created this for us are from the Volhynian Mennonite descendants. Our artists for this piece are Zerger and Chip Tucker from Prairie Works Design Incorporated. And today it is my pleasure to present to you Fields of Hope. I've invited Ann and Chip to share with us what they would like about the piece. I'm particularly interested in the medium with which you used, the process, and anything else you'd like to share. The symbolism, of course.
I'm always the one that gets designated between the two of us to speak. Chip doesn't like to do it, so you'll have to bear with me. First of all, I am just really pleased and feel very grateful and thankful that we were asked to do this piece. It means a whole lot to me. Certain pieces, just really come from the heart.
It's beautiful. Well done.
Well, thank you. This is for you all and for this community, which I've grown up and loved since I can, since I was born. So thank you all very much for that. As far as the medium, it is steel. Everything is made out of steel except for the piece dove, which is made out of copper. We cut, manipulated, heated, twisted, hammered, whatever we needed to do to get the shape. Before that, though, we drew on the computer with CAD to get an image of what it would look like, so that the Art Council would have a good idea of what they were getting. We always try to have the client understand what they're getting before they get it. And so after things were a go, we started doing that, and my oldest son, Chris Parker, which some of you may know, had some time, and he also had a lot to do with the creation of this. He's very artistic, and he did a lot. And then there's welded pieces, and then it was all separate in order that we could take it down to get what's called powder coating, which is a special heat process of putting sort of an enamel on, and it keeps it from rusting, and you know, it helps make it permanent. And then once that was done, we brought it all back, and as soon as the concrete slab was done, we brought it in here and finished installing it. So
Actually finished installing it at noon today.
yeah, we were waiting for the slab. The weather was not cooperative because concrete is very sensitive to rain, so we had to wait on that. But we like to design something when we're doing stuff that kind of goes out in the prairie or around in native or natural areas, that becomes part of that piece, part of that landscape, and isn't like a statue or something that's just standing there. And so these move with the wind, and they kind of have an ephemeral feel where, you know, they have more of a fragileness, but also a sturdiness like a tree or grass, native grasses. And so that is sort of why we utilize the materials and the way we put it together. I was going to just kind of go with what the meaning of these pieces were. We sort of have a similar idea that we started with when we created the monarch habitat. We created similar pieces that were dedicated to the monarch, and that's sort of where Bernie, I think, got the idea of what they were wanting here. And so we changed some of the stuff to symbolize what was important to the Mennonites. So I'm going to just kind of tell you what different things mean, and then if you have any questions. The peace dove represents the Mennonite immigrants' heritage to this community of a commitment to peace and social justice. And we have it flying within this group of grasses and wheat, but it's also, you know, facing Moundridge, so bringing that whole commitment into this community. The stalks of wheat represent the Mennonites' heritage to this community of the success of the turkey red wheat and dryland farming that the Mennonite immigrants brought. And then the grass stalks are kind of represent multiple things. One, the beautiful grass, Kansas tallgrass prairie that once stretched endlessly and was the foundation of the success of the Mennonite farmers. And one of the biggest reasons there was such a success is that the ground, the soil was so fertile underneath the beautiful tall grasses, which were everywhere, and farming has done, eliminated a lot of those. So it's like reminding and remembering that we have to be integrated into preserving the native along with farming and integrating those two so that there's not a off balance. And that's why we have the wheat in with the grasses, partly because there are a lot of young farmers that are coming around and looking up new ways to farm that is not so destructive to the prairie or the land. And so, that goes with that whole thing of hope, is that what we brought here was a lot of hope. It also caused some destruction, but we're moving forward as Mennonites do, trying to find new solutions. It also represents a visual land acknowledgement to the indigenous first peoples who thrived here for generations. And they are still here in Oklahoma and Kansas are starting to have their voices heard. So it was very important to me that we acknowledge what riches we got from their sacrifices, particularly being immigrants ourselves, you know, from immigrants to being immigrants. So that's kind of the gist of it. Any questions? Yeah.
How did you arrive at the shape of that polygon of the base?
The bottom part?
Yeah.
That is Chip's design. He can tell you that one.
It's, I don't, it felt right, you know? No, in composing the way the pieces went on it, we look at the top first to see how it looks. And then, okay, there's the base. How are we going to make that? And instead of making a big flat piece, we just followed the grass around. So essentially that's what happened.
Lovely.
And to make that easy, we did much of that on the computer.
Yeah, the computer is great to be able to work out ideas, and then also we'll sometimes make little tiny models to work out problems, so that you don't get all this big stuff and you go, oh, it's not working. We have to start over.
Minor detail.
So, any other questions?
Is there going to be a sign or something?
I think there's a
There
plaque.
will be, yes.
Yeah.
That'll be coming. I wanted to see it first to decide what kind of sign we wanted. Yeah.
Thank you.
I've invited Danielle Gehring, representing Schmecca, to share a few words.
Psalm 16:6, according to the King James Version, says, "The lines are fallen unto me in pleasant places. Yea, I have a goodly heritage." It was a goodly land that they came to, and we have spent a goodly part of the last year plus thinking about the courageous and faithful people who left everything they had ever known for the right to practice the faith that God showed them. We made an effort this year to remember and ponder their contribution to our way of life, because we thought that after 150 years it was a nice thing to do. But will we think about their contributions next year or 10 years from now? Or will our children and our grandchildren think about it and be grateful? This sculpture will help us remember and thank God for what those immigrants did for us in 1874. Schweitzers and Friends and the Swiss Mennonite Cultural and Historical Association are happy to be part of this effort. Thank you.
So, friends of the community, friends of the Mennonite Volhynian descendants, thank you for coming. Thank you for initiating this piece into the community. And now, as I would tell my classroom children, you may look with your eyes, you may come closer and look with your eyes, but please do not touch. Thank you. Danielle. Right, we talked on the phone.